Hey, this is Steven from On GTX, and this is my review of Total War Rome 2. This game is really fun. It's a great real-time strategy game. So first we're going to take a look at the video options here. And so you have some basic settings, presets, and as well as a advanced options section. And so yeah, you could just set on, I would highly suggest VSync, and setting everything on this game. You cannot run on Ultra and get a smooth frame rate to be able to command your men. So I would just go with something in the normal range, something in the medium range to keep those frame rates up and not put too much stress on your video card, and definitely VSync it. Don't let it go over 60 frames per second. Just keep it underneath. Just keep it underneath and try to save your processor some of the work, because these games last a long time, especially if you're doing campaign. They could last a couple days just to do one mission. So I would suggest going with the normal. I'm just maxing it out here, and if you watch my benchmark section of this game, the benchmark for this game, it didn't run very well at that particular type of settings. So I'd highly suggest just running it at something that your PC could run easily and below 60 frames per second with the VSync on. Alright, so we're going to take a look at the engine here, and really good looking game. Here we have a big battle on a hill with also the dynamic effects such as the rain here, the mist, and things like that. And you can see that it's really take a hammering on my PC because I didn't have my settings low enough. So you can see that it really takes it's a pretty intense game to run, especially when you have 3,000 units a piece. If I deploy 3,000, he deploys 3,000, and the enemy deploys 3,000. That's 6,000 units on screen, as well as the dynamic effects, all the textures for the floor and trees. It will take a beating. So as you can see, that this game's all about the big army battles, the strategic moving around. Of course, it's also about, as you'll see in my day one, if you want to see more footage, watch my day one. It's all about, moving your units as an army around the battlefield and taking over locations in order to get a better strategic position on somebody. And this footage right here is kind of deceiving, because usually you will not be playing like this. The reason why I say that is because most of the time, at least starting out, you're not going to be as good as the auto-resolve fight. With the auto-resolve fight, you see exactly how many units, what the percentage of units you're going to have left, and usually it's a lot better than what you'll get. Now, if you were automatically going to lose, it said, large defeat or whatever, I would suggest using it and seeing if you could do better, because you're going to lose them anyway. So go for the battle. Otherwise, it's a little buggy sometimes. Like when you left click on a unit and you try to drag, if you're actually clicking on a unit, it won't let you drag. So that's a little buggy. Also, as you can see, definitely the lag is pretty high if you have your settings up too high like I did. And this is on 660 Ti. This isn't a 9000 series card or anything like that. It's doing definitely some damage. In the name of Rome. So most of the time you won't be doing this too much. I just did this just for footage purposes, and I thought it would be cool because I had a huge army against a small army. But it's sort of buggy to where you can't control some of your units as well. Like the archers will you tell them to attack, and they have to attack from a certain distance, and for some reason they'll run in. I don't know why, but they'll run in there and try to fight, and then they have to back off and shoot from far range. But there's other missions where you could do it. I mean, if it's a landslide win, like there's like 2 or 4 units in that army, then yeah, go ahead and do that. For example, this one here, it's there was 3 units in the base, and they're all quarter health. So I just decided to siege the castle. Plus, I haven't used the siege settings. So here you get a little bit look at the famous Total War Rome.
can be ordered to smash the gate.
siege, so I have ballistas and other things like that to break down the walls or break down the gate in order to get my units in, and I have ladders in order to go up the walls. And here I'm in a pre-battle setting to where I could separate out my units to a certain position in order to better equip them for sieging. So I set all my ballistas to the left-hand side next to the wall, and I'm going to bridge through the front gate, as well as I ended up not using the ladders, so I just had my units drop the ladders and go in by themselves. So something like this, as you could see the reef, the star, it's like a star with a reef around it. There's 3 of them. Those are 3 points you need to capture in order to win, or you have to kill all the enemy units. And in this case, they have the enemy units inside, and then if there's a general outside, the general will come and will bring in reinforcements, but they'll be off to the back, so they have to run in, right? So the best idea is to attack first before they're able to run in and aid their defense.
Mars, aid us! Have the siege weapons target the walls and the
this is the prologue here, so we're playing as the Romans. Now, I didn't know that this game was that big. I'll show some footage later that you could spend maybe 100 hours just doing campaign missions, or even 200 hours just doing campaign missions, and still not do all of them, because they have certain ones where on the same one you could just play as a different faction, and it'll be the same map, but you're playing as a different faction. And you'll see some footage of another prologue that I started. In this particular, just like on my day 1 footage, in this game I don't have any multiplayer footage, because this is one of those games that, like, you know, StarCraft or something like that, you don't jump right into it. Sort of like what happened with Company of Heroes. I jumped into multiplayer and I wasn't all that good yet. You need to do the campaign and be able to beat, you know, be able to win battles against hard PCs. I was having problems staying alive against normal PCs. So I definitely needed more practice before I could jump in. I wanted to be realistic, and realistically saying, you should practice a lot before you go into something like that. I don't even know if the auto-complete or the auto-resolve is even available in multiplayer, so you gotta be able to do the sieges and stuff like that. Here we have a sea battle.
Silanus has been hurt in the melee. He will live, but word will surely spread through the soldiers.
So here in the melee, sorry, I said melee. I meant here in the sea battle, you could do one of 2 things. You could either ram with your boat, or you could board with your boat, and you see that with the bar there. Yellow is me and red is the enemy, so the more yellow you have, you're going to take over the boat. But you need some archers off to the side shooting into the boat, as well as other melee units jumping on the boat to assist in the siege. And the very last 2 sets of footage will be more representative of what will usually happen during the campaign, or maybe even multiplayer, which is basically the part that you see most of in day 1, which is moving around, right? You move around your units and you take over cities, and you can see right away how much harder it is in the campaigns after the prologue than it actually is in the prologue. And also the flashing of the banner means that they're about to surrender. So this battle I could have done with an auto resolve, and then, you know, you find out what happens or whatever, but I decided not to. I decided to because this was my first sea battle, so I decided to do it. But most of the time, for most people, you're probably going to want to just do auto resolve conflict and go with whatever option leaves you with the most soldiers left, or go offensive if you want to kill all the enemies, or if you want to go defensive and keep most of your guys alive and have a hold out until the enemy retreats. So there with that bar, you can see that they're taking advantage on there because there's way too many enemies on that.
Reached us that the enemy general is dead, killed by our
but now I have more units. I have like 4 or 5 ships of melee units jumping onto that ship.
Victory!
And there you go.
My
So, since I take over most of it,
are the
they
coats of
surrender
Rome.
and I win the battle. Okay, so this is what you would see most time in campaigns. So here I was fighting back on an enemy because basically this is against NPCs and this map is huge. You'll see it either in this footage or the next one. But there's like 60 factions, 60 different NPCs controlling their own places in the map. And so you can make diplomacies, and they'll ask for diplomacies using the algorithm that they use on the game or whatever, and they'll set up diplomacies. You could call them and ask them for diplomacies and stuff like that. And here you can see how vast you could have your setup at and take over different spots. And you can see down there on the mini map here it is right here. You can see how large this is, and this is after about maybe 5 or 6 hours of play. There was maybe like 20 or 30 factions that already got destroyed because they were ganged up on, right? So this is like after the battle type thing. This is after the fact. This is how many factions are left. So you can see how vast it is. And it is really hard because they'll have eventually they'll find that you're powerful. If you stay powerful, then they'll gang up on you, and then you'll be getting hit by like 3 different sides. As you see, I'm getting hit from the top, I was getting hit from the right, and I wasn't getting hit from left, luckily, but I was getting hit from the top, the right, and from the south. And my allies that I had, once I got out to try to help my allies, I got surrounded by people that were attacking from the right. So here you can see that you have the buildings, and what you don't see too much is that there is, and here you can see that it's going through, the algorithm is going through and moving all the units for all the different factions. You can see there, those are the agents, so they'll have agents in your base sabotaging your places and breaking down your buildings. So you have to have agents around assassinating other agents as well as other squads. You can see you have stuff where they stack up on one base and things like that. So it's really difficult. So if you're going to play multiplayer, this here is a normal, which is really pretty difficult. I would go for something like a normal first and then work your way through the hard and go through the highest difficulty, win a couple of those games, then I would go on to play multiplayer and continue playing multiplayer. But it's one of those things like Warcraft, StarCraft, Rise of Nations, stuff like that, Command and Conquer, those types of games, and the Heroes, right? Company of Heroes, things like that. You have to be good at the game, so you have to be able to at least beat hard NPCs that are all ganging up on you, and be able to win that with very little fuss and with a lot of tenacity, right? Not very many units lost. So here you can see that from you can play as all different kinds of factions and races and nationalities, and each nationality has different soldiers. So here I'm showing, I'm Egyptian in this one, so I have the archers and elephants and stuff like that. So you have different characters for different campaign portions. And for each different campaign, I think I picked like 1 out of 15 campaigns, and in each of those campaigns you could pick 5 or 6 different races. So there's infinite replayability in this game, infinite. So now I'll go into the conclusion. I think this game's really awesome. It's a lot more than I thought was going to come from it as far as how much you could really play with it. It's not a super complicated... I mean, it is a complicated game, but it's not like, an FPS or anything like that. It's a real, lean back, think about your moves, calculate a couple moves ahead, watch your enemies move around, things like that. One of my favorite RTS games that I've played in a long time. Especially now that Command & Conquer is not going to come out, they've trashed that, so this is definitely a good RTS that you might want to play. I would check it out, even if you're a fan of the first any Total War game, and I would pick this one up and play it because you see it's got a lot of great mechanics and a lot of great gameplay that's really hard to that gives level of difficulty and a great level of replayability, because that's where the RTS games come in. Is the replayability value is very, very high, because each time you do something different, they do something different. So infinite replayability. So yeah, so I'd highly recommend this game. It's actually a pretty good deal. I think I got it for like $40. You could probably find it for cheaper on Green Man Gaming, and I'll have that link. Should have that link in the description when this video comes out. And I would highly recommend checking it out. Even if you're not an RTS player, check it out and play it for you know, when you get bored. It'll definitely easily kill 5 hours just playing through a quarter of one of those campaigns. And then once you get better, it'll be able to feed your ability, and then eventually you'll be able to go on to multiplayer. So this has been Steven from Legit PC, and this is my review of Total War Rome 2, and I'd like to thank you for watching. If you like my videos, please subscribe for other videos like it, and take it easy.